Thank you, Regina. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming today and to listen. And also, I just wanted to say from the outset, if anyone has questions, they do not have to wait until the end. Feel free to jump in at any point. If you want me to repeat something or go over anything, you don't have to wait. I will not be upset if you interrupt me. So that said, my name is Sarah Parlow. I am a fashion stylist. I've been working in New York City for the past 20 some years. And about 2 years ago, I started a company called SPUNJ Sustainability, which is basically an online resource and store where we basically promote sustainable products and brands, and basically just makes being a conscious consumer convenient. It's basically just a safe place where you can go to find all vetted, natural, safe, non-toxic products. So basically what inspired me to create SPUNJ is because over the course of my career, I saw the rise of two things, basically fast fashion and e-commerce. So fast fashion, I mean, I remember when we used to go to a store to buy things, and come out with like a shopping bag or a garment bag. And with fast fashion, everything became just so quickly disposable, right? It was all about quantity versus quality. And it also was the rise of so many synthetic fabrics, right? Because prices had to be brought down. So polyester just kind of skyrocketed. And yeah, and in addition to that, in order to compete on price, manufacturing, everything got shipped overseas. I mean, I remember when in New York, there used to be factories here and showrooms and workshops where people would actually be making clothes here in New York City. And that really just hardly exists anymore. And the problem with that is that you don't really know where your clothes are being made, right? So it's like everything what are the labor conditions? What are the safety environmental conditions and their practices in these countries that are being made, where things are being made overseas? So the second thing that inspired me to create SPUNJ is the rise of e-commerce. I mean, as a purveyor of an e-commerce website, I obviously love the convenience of buying things online. But I saw that, as a stylist, with every job I do and ordering things online, everything comes in packaging and boxes and plastic wrap. And it really just, at the end of every job, we'd be stuck with this mountain of waste that is not recyclable and not really disposable. I mean, it basically, we've seen over the past 20 years, everything winds up in a landfill. So my aha moment kind of came when a friend of mine invited me to hear a talk called Deploying Capital to Impact Climate Solutions. And basically the subject of the talk was about how we as consumers are investors and how collectively we have the power to change how businesses operate. And to me, this was just like, oh, wow, this is amazing. We can all work together to change, obviously in our last election, right? We've all changed, we can change governments, we can definitely change, how businesses perform and to improve environmental standards, working conditions, and the kind of materials that they use. So basically I created SPUNJ, basically like as a safe space where everything is vetted, everything is non-toxic, ethically made, and you don't have to it takes out all the legwork basically. So what is the legwork? I mean, at SPUNJ, we essentially use certain criteria to vet products. Basically, so what is sustainable fashion essentially? Sustainable fashion is essentially asking who, what, and how. So who is making your clothes, right? So it's, is it a child labor in Bangladesh? Or is it an adult person who's getting paid a living wage? Are they getting paid overtime? Are they able to collective bargain? Do they have safe working conditions? The what is actually in the clothes that you buy, right? The materials, are they natural materials like organic cotton or something that's biodegradable, like a wool or a cashmere? Or is it something synthetic like a polyester or nylon? I mean, the good thing about natural fibers are not only that they feel better on your skin, but that they biodegrade, meaning at the end of their life cycle, if they do wind up in landfill, they will biodegrade and they will, hopefully, if they're dyed naturally, will not cause any harm to the planet. Versus synthetic, something like a polyester, a nylon, or rayon, where these are materials created in labs, and a lot of them are basically made from petroleum products, which is or oil, and they have very toxic effects on the environment. So when they end up in a landfill at the end of their life cycle, I mean, they don't biodegrade. Essentially, they're going to be around forever, as we see, in pictures of landfills in overseas where things are just accumulating out of control. So, on top of that, plastics, and this goes beyond even the clothes that we wear, but basically just to everything that we use. Plastic is, on one hand, amazing, right? Because it's a cheap, flexible material that contains pretty much everything that we live in, everything we do, our computers, everything. But at the same time, clothing, in particular, synthetic clothes, there's something called microplastics. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. And the effect of microplastics is that they wind up in our water supply, they wind up in the ocean, they wind up in the earth and the soil. And recently, I think it was like 93% of people who were tested in the United States came up with traces of BPA in their system. So, which is something called bioaccumulation. So they don't even know the effects of bioaccumulation yet. I haven't read any studies saying how this actually affects you physically yet. They don't know, but I cannot imagine that it is positive. So yeah, so synthetic versus natural. So then basically the other question that we ask in fashion, analyzing sustainable fashion is, how are your clothes made? So typically printing processes, dyeing processes use a lot of chemicals. In printing alone, they use phthalates, which are endocrine disruptors. In the dyeing process, they use heavy metals like chromium, cadmium, and antimony that damage your blood cells. They affect your kidney, your liver, and cause reproductive issues. Other things that have become popular over the past 10 to 20 years are clothes that are flame retardant, or wrinkle resistant, or water resistant, stain resistant. All of these clothes basically have chemicals in them. They're kind of like the same chemical that is on frying pans, Teflon, basically. So I don't know if you know that you should you should really be using frying pans that do not have Teflon in them. Because ultimately, why? With your clothes, we always think about this very obviously when we're choosing food, right? It's like everyone wants to buy organic now, and you want to use organic skincare and soap and face lotions, but people don't always think about that when it comes to their clothes. And basically, your clothes are touching your skin pretty much all the time, right? So it's like you would never want to use a face cream that had chemicals in it. So why would we want clothes that have chemicals in them? It's really just, we're going to be finding out eventually, or sooner rather than later, what the effects of all of this are. So one positive, does anyone have any questions, by the way, while I'm, no? Okay. All right, so I'm going to keep going. So one amazing development that's becoming really popular in the fashion industry is regenerative farming. So people, big brands, big and small, are actually going back to how crops are grown, like cotton, for example. Cotton is like one of the most water intensive and pesticide heavy crops that are out there. So what regenerative farming aims to do is they basically don't use any GMOs, and they don't do monocrops. Typically, cotton is grown in fields, where it's like cotton as far as the eye can see. But what that does is with no crop diversity, basically it increases the need for water, pesticides, chemicals, and it degrades and erodes the soil. So basically, sorry, I'm stuttering. But anyway, but the benefit of regenerative agriculture is that it's able to actually trap carbon in the soil and reverse climate change, which is incredible. Scientists say that if we were able to get rid of monocrops altogether and replace them with diverse regenerative crops, we would be able to solve climate change, which is amazing. So basically, so these, all of this is a lot of information to digest, right? We spend a lot of time at Sponge analyzing brands. We ask all these questions of every brand that we carry. So, what I want to provide is some quick and easy ways that you can do this yourself. If you're not on Sponge, like say you're in a store, what is the best way to be a conscious consumer if you're shopping like in a Walmart or a Target? Basically, we recommend buying brands or trying to locate brands that are transparent. This is definitely easiest done online, but you can do it in a store just by reading the label and looking for things. Like I actually was in Walmart recently and I was surprised. I was in the men's section at Walmart and some of their fleece hoodies were made out of recycled material. I was really shocked and impressed. So it's just maybe taking time to look, and see like, is it recycled? Is it organic? Would be one amazing way. Also, if you're looking online, I often type in, if I'm searching for something, I'll type in the keyword recycled or organic, or there are other materials that are man-made that are more sustainable than like a polyester or rayon, and they are things like Tencel or modal. So basically I put that in front of whatever I'm looking for just to see what pops up. Like it could be like organic cotton underwear, organic cotton t-shirt, or if it's not a natural material, it could be something that is recycled. So stores like, Target, Walmart, Costco, H&M, Zara, a lot of these stores actually are using recycled polyesters, which while it's not as amazing as a natural fiber, it's hard to have like workout wear or athletic wear, something with a stretch that's made out of a natural fiber. You have to have some sort of synthetic in there to give it that stretch and breathability. But using recycled polyesters are amazing. So yeah, so basically those are just two tips that you can use yourself when shopping online or in store. Another thing you can do is joining the circular economy. I don't know if anyone has, I'm sure you probably heard that term before, but the 3 keys of the circular economy are reducing, reusing, and recycling. So reducing basically means like, buying as little fast fashion as possible. If you are going to shop with fast fashion, I recommend going to, using, actually H&M has their conscious collection. Zara has Join Life. Or if you're in Walmart or Target, searching for things that are, they have things that are organic and using the keywords to search. But ultimately, there are so many brands out there that are making things that are really super sustainable. They're doing amazing, beautiful things by taking, old drapes, old carpeting, old bags, old upholstery, and making beautiful, high-end, gorgeous clothing out of them. So that is one way to reduce the amount of waste. Another, reusing something, is basically like buying vintage or buying something secondhand. There's so many outlets on there online right now where you can, go to eBay, Craigslist, Goodwill, ThredUp, The RealReal, Poshmark, are all great places where you can find amazing designer clothes that are like, pre-loved, but you can buy them at a lower price than you would find them in store. And you're really basically just like, keeping things in use for longer and keeping them out of landfills. Also recycling, right? Recycling is a great way to be part of the circular economy. The old-fashioned swap meet, right? I don't know if we're getting together so much now, but what I've been doing is as I clean out my closets, I say, who would appreciate this, right? Like, I have 2 kids and I take all my kids' old clothes and I send them in a box to friends whose kids could use them. Or I'm like, oh, this dress, and I don't really use it anymore, but this would look so good on so-and-so, and I will send it in the mail to them. And then also, if you can't do that, just trying to go to other places that do recycle clothes. Whether it's the Goodwill, but also there's places like you can go to H&M, Nordstrom, and Patagonia have spots in their stores where you can take clothes and drop them off, and some will give you credits, like H&M will, but some are really working with companies that actually recycle the material themselves. Especially clothes that maybe can't be reworn again, but that are just completely destroyed and really should maybe go to a landfill. But there's also a company called TerraCycle where I think it's for $100. It's kind of steep, but you can pay and they'll send you a box that will arrive to your home, and you can fill it up with clothing. They actually also take like PPE, they take electronics, they take plastic, they'll take pretty much anything, and they bring it to the right place to get recycled, which is amazing. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is what I've been trying to do, I mean, since I started SPUNJ, is basically just challenging myself, right? Setting goals for myself and challenges. Like from now on, I don't buy anything that has plastic. If I can help it, right? I mean, if it's something electronic and I don't have a choice, but for myself, I've really just started with the kitchen. It basically is like no plastic baggies, no plastic wrap, no plastic toothbrushes. I try to buy things that are all in recycled containers. One brand that I carry on SPUNJ is Public Goods. They sell, they'll sell you like a kitchen cleaner, but they'll also sell you the refill, so you can just keep reusing that bottle over and over again. And TerraCycle actually has their own products. I actually just bought some, I think, bathroom cleaner today, but it comes in an old soda bottle. So they take all that plastic that you send back to them and they completely rinse it out and sterilize it, and then put green cleaning products in it, which is amazing. So yeah, that's, I mean, other than that, I've just been trying to buy, like I bought scarves made out of saris from a British designer called Lisa Taylor, and who her things are so beautiful. I've taken recently some old jewelry that my mother-in-law gave me and restrung them and repurposed them to make new jewelry that I do actually wear. I mean, also PPE, right? It's like, it's a huge thing right now. We all need to be using it, but I'm trying to use reusable PPE, right? So I've been making masks that I can wash and reuse instead of just, you know, in cloth gloves instead of plastic gloves. So yeah, so that's what I would wanted to talk about today. Does anyone have any questions that we could delve in deeper to things?
I do. I have two questions that came up.
Oh, good.
And I took notes. So the first thing, the water bottle, or I guess it's not a water bottle that you're using, is who makes that? I don't, it's like super cute.
So cute. This is from Starbucks. It's actually a coffee thermos. I bought it many years ago.
No, it's great. I was like, that's great. I was curious if it was like sustainable, but if you've had it for a long time, I guess it is, right?
I've had it for a long time, but it is made out of metal, so metal is fine. Yeah, there's no plastic. At least I don't think so. No, inside and out. So yeah.
Another thing that I'm curious about is like, this is sort of a loaded question, but like, what is your perspective on Tupperware for, like, you know, if you're going to make your own food and then you want to transport it somewhere else, and then like if you're ordering takeout, how is there a solution or a best practice that you recommend that's going to cut down on the waste, because it can become a lot?
Yeah, it is a lot. I know. And I'm someone who orders in food all the time. So I know I have huge recycling bins in my pantry right now filled with takeout recycling. I mean, when you're ordering in, it's really, there's not much you can do because it's really up to the brands or the restaurant that you're ordering from. What are their practices? I mean, I have seen certain restaurants improving their practices and using recycled containers, recyclable containers, compostable containers, which are amazing. But I mean, ultimately, you don't really have a lot of control with ordering in. But in terms of your own kitchen, there are so many things you can get. I mean, basically using tin or metal with silicone lids. I have been basically replacing everything in my kitchen with silicone bags. That's what I buy instead of plastic now. And you can get them on Amazon. There's a great store in Brooklyn called the Plastic Free Shop. They sell a lot of amazing products there where you can get rid of, all your plastic utensils, all your plastic cookware. They have stainless steel alternatives. But yeah, silicone is a great alternative to plastic because it's waterproof. It is ultimately biodegradable at the end, but you can basically transport liquids with it. But I also have, yeah, like they have different size bowls that are metal with metal lids, and they have that, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like those clamps that keep it locked down, which are awesome. And they're beautiful too. They're much prettier than Tupperware. So I highly recommend those.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much. This has been like the thing that I've been thinking about a lot is like, how can I better like incentivize myself to cook at home more, and then how can I be more efficient with when I'm transporting food. So it's actually, you're doing a lot for yourself, and then you're also doing a lot for the environment.
I mean, I guess one way you can take matters into your hand with takeout is really being thorough with washing out the containers. I actually put them in my dishwasher and rinse them out completely, because if anything gets sent back to the recycling center, we're lucky enough for it to get back to the recycling center, a lot of it is discarded because it's dirty and it can't be processed because of food, there's food stuck to it. So I really just try to do the best, the most I can to, just keep everything clean, keep it separated. And yeah, that's it. And pray that companies invest in better food containers going forward. Yeah. Are there any other questions? All right.
I just want to say this, or it is a question. Did you read the book? I think it's called Fashionista, oh, it's really good, and it's all about, the fashion industry. It's a pretty recent book. I don't think Fashionista. I don't think I've got the right title. Anyway, and she talks to like Mara Hoffman, how she got started. She's got really good interviews in there, and people's experiences, how they went, to India and saw like the dyes going into the river and then people drinking it and like just crazy stuff. But it's a great book.
Amazing. That's awesome. I'm really writing it down. Did
Yeah,
it come out recently, or has it been around for a while?
no, it's pretty recent. I think in 2019, like late 2019. I want to say Fashionista. I'm sure, maybe I can figure it out. I took it from the library, so I don't have it, but it was really good.
If you think of it, please put it in the chat or just put it out there. I mean, there are a lot of amazing things that are happening basically in the fashion industry. There are a lot of developments in new materials that are incredible. Things like, companies are really going out there to find, like, one thing I talk about a lot is using food to create fashion. I actually do a series of talks called Table Talk with my friend Justine Reichman, who is a food industry expert. And a lot of companies are taking like food waste and turning it into materials. Like some amazing things are like, they'll take cactus and make it into a leather, or I'm actually doing a talk coming up where with Material Connection, which is a library of sustainable materials. And they have things made from cow dung or blood, or, all these crazy, amazing developments are coming up. There's things made of Vigia, which is a grape leather. It's been used by like H&M and Other Stories and Marni to make shoes and bags, which is amazing. There's people making sneakers out of coffee plants. And another brand that I carry on SPUNJ is Piper and Sky, and they make something out of a fish skin called pirarucu. And basically, pirarucu is the fish that grows in the Amazon River, and it was typically overfished for a long period of time. But then the government stepped in and allowed to regulate so that the fish was no longer overfished. They regulated the population, and the whole industry has spawned, not only for the locals who eat the fish, but now they have tanneries and fisheries where they grow the fish and they create these beautiful products out of them. You go to Sponge and look up, or just Google Piper and Sky. They make these incredible bags and accessories. They're gorgeous. And basically just taking like what would normally be waste, like fish skin, like that was discarded, left there to rot. So many amazing things are happening. One company that I love is, I don't know if they really had many applications yet, but I know they are trying to replace plastic bags, and they're called Shellworks. And basically they take lobster shells and create a plastic alternative out of it, which is amazing. So yeah, there are so many things on the horizon. There's another company called Bolt Threads where they take spider silk and make fabric out of it. And other people are making things out of mushrooms. They create leather out of mushrooms. Sea kelp, so many things are amazing that are happening. So, I mean, I'm just hoping that, brands out there, if anyone's listening who works for a fashion brand, please, inspire your company to think outside the box. There are so many things available, just be creative, and, putting profit before the planet is really, it's a really short-sighted way of thinking about your business. I mean, I know that as we suffer through the pandemic and everyone is having a hard time and businesses are shutting down, but if you do have the luxury of being in business right now and thinking for the future, these are things that you can do to, propel your business into the next, to the next level. And I think that, consumers are becoming more and more aware of this, and really asking more questions, especially, people in the younger generations, millennials and younger, are really considering that this is a key component of why they buy a lot of things, like basically ethically made products. So yeah, hopefully onward and upward for the fashion industry. There are a lot of exciting things potentially brewing. Any other questions?
Can I just ask, like, what is your background and how did you get into this? Like doing a sustainable thing? Because you're a stylist, I think they said, yeah.
I'm a stylist. Basically, I just started by doing my own research. I'm really not trained in any way. I don't have any degree, but I just started about 2 years ago researching brands that were doing the right thing, and watching a lot of webinars and seminars and educating myself on companies that were doing good things. I mean, I basically have been thinking about this for so long, but I feel like the marketplace really wasn't there many years ago. There were so few brands that were doing anything sustainable, using organic materials, or even thinking about, anything more than profit. So it's really just been like a 2-year process of educating myself on, learning about certifications and all the certifications that are out there that brands use to verify their sustainability. One thing you hear about a lot is greenwashing. Greenwashing, everyone does it. I mean, I'm going to call out one brand right now that basically Everlane. I don't know. In my quest to buy all sustainable things, I bought something from Everlane, and then, I did more research on that product and realized that, like, in their effort to be, they're transparent by saying, where something is made and what factory in China, but you have no way of verifying what is actually happening in that factory in China. They do use some recycled cashmere and recycled materials, which is commendable, but, I mean, there's been so many reports coming out saying that if we are to meet Paris Climate Change Accord goals by the year 2030, the fashion industry needs to really step it up. We are way behind on the trajectory of, meeting any sort of goal for carbon emissions. And so basically we're really just trying to inspire brands to do the best they can, or to do more than they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. But you think something like Zara or H&M conscious, do you really think that they're that sustainable, or that,
I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, I mean, ultimately Zara, it's like either Zara or H&M, one of them is the biggest buyer of organic cotton in the world, right? So on one hand, they are, propelling the organic cotton industry forward, but with the amount of quantity that they buy. But it's always a double-edged sword, right? With price and trying to keep price down, and ways in which they're not sustainable or ethical is in their manufacturing processes, and in monitoring who's making the clothes, and are they being paid fairly, and are there safe working conditions? There's not a lot of transparency that happens on that side of it. But in terms of their their material use, they are making an effort. So, I say, like, when buying something from Zara, I love Zara too, but I try to just make sure it's from their Join Life collection, which is, has a percentage of sustainable fabrics, and, they're using processes that reduce water use. So, they're not the best. They're not like A-rated in any way, but they fill a niche in the market for affordable clothes. So I don't want to, vilify them too much, but I wish that they were doing better.
Right.
That answers your question. Yeah. Yeah.
I have another question. So you spoke a lot about the brands that are trying to shift things and making, huge efforts and huge strides. But what about like the publications, or even like the influencers, or in the past you would say magazines, but I almost feel like that's evolving. So what are your go-tos or your favorite resources that bring this conversation into awareness, aside from your platform?
Yeah. Good on You. It's basically goodonyou.eco.eco. They're an Australian company, and they are an amazing online resource. They have been around for, I think, more than 10 years. So they have a whole plethora of information and research done on every brand. And they basically rank every brand for their environmental practices, their labor practices, their water use, and they give everyone a grade. They're amazing. And they also recommend brands as well. So they're definitely my go-to. There is also a British company called Revenvert. I think it's Revenvert. And they kind of are doing what I'm doing, but they're based in the UK. And they have a lot of good, like, amazing, sustainable products on their site. So they're probably my two biggest go-tos for sustainable stuff. I'm trying to think of who else, but I can't. No one else is coming to mind. Actually, I could probably go to my bookmarks and tell you. There's so many. Okay, so there's companies called A Company, which is ACCOMPANY. They have all ethically made products on their site, which are amazing. Maison de Mode is another. They focus more on high-end fashion, so they're definitely a higher price point, but that's a great resource for things. Made Trade is another that has a lot of great, like, home products. They have clothes. They have a little bit of everything. Who else do I love? Yeah, that's probably it. Those are probably my top recommendations.
Those are great. Yeah, no, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope that helps. Yeah, any way to make it easier to find things, because I know it takes a lot of time and energy to do all the research. So anyone who's helping to carry the cause forward and make it easier to find affordable, sustainable products is amazing. I'm trying to think of some of the people who carry some of the home things too. Let me just see if I can find something to recommend. Yeah, the Plastic Free Shop in Brooklyn is amazing. Net Zero Company is, I think they are Canadian, but they have a lot of great, I've bought these like silicone lids for bowls. So instead of using saran wrap, It's basically like these just stretchy plastic silicone things that you can fit over a bowl or a plate or anything to cover it. And you basically just wash it and reuse it. They're amazing. Let's see what else. I go to Green Paper Products. They are a great site for like just anything recycled paper, recycled boxes, recycled wrapping. I'm trying to think of the company that has great Christmas wrapping. Hold on one second. Oh, so I mean, for Public Goods was one that has really great home products, and Public Goods actually carries a ton of different things. They have cleaning products, they have personal care products, they have food. They're great. If you go to their site and buy from them, they are a subscription service. I think it's for like $60 a year, $80 a year. You can buy things, but everything is so reasonably priced. And we also carry it on Sponge with no subscription, but they're great. And then Dwell Smart is an online brand or company that has a lot of different products. They carry the TerraCycle stuff. They have cleaning things. They have mattresses I saw recently, like sustainable organic mattresses. So I think they even have building materials. So building supplies, which is incredible. I love that. Yes. Any other questions?
I don't have any more questions. We are a small group, so I think, we were anticipating more people coming in real time, but we could always jump off the call earlier. I'm going to send a recap email. I'm writing all these names down so that you guys have a resource, and then Sarah's Sponge website's in the chat if you guys want to check that out. You have some really cool things. I saw the Girlfriend Collective is on your site, which is exciting. I think they're cool because I think they make everything out of recycled. I think it's like one material they use for all their leggings.
Mm-hmm. I think it's recycled nylon, I think.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, yes, I'll have to get those soon. But I think we could probably part, and then you guys can always email the Alchemist Kitchen if you have any questions. And I'm sure, Sarah, if you want to put your email in the chat, by all means. And then hopefully we'll just keep on bringing up this conversation again and again.
Absolutely. There, I just put up my email, and yeah, and the link to my website is already up. So yeah, I mean, my parting words to everyone are just, try to be a conscious consumer. It really is such a great time during the pandemic to just take a pause, learn new ways and new habits, right? Instead of just, the same things that you do all of your life. Now we have this opportunity to basically just be conscious, be aware, and know that, with every dollar that you spend, that's, promoting a way of life, right? So yeah, thank you all so much for coming. And Rashida, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure being on.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh my God, my pleasure. Thank you so much. And everyone have a good night, and please be safe.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Good night.